My name is Scott. And at the time I had just broken up and was on my school holidays, which meant 5 weeks off school. And I was excited and looking forward to playing a lot of Xbox. My brother and sister were already getting ready to go to Granny's house. See, they would always spend majority of their time off school there. It was up to us, but I preferred to stay at home with Mom and Dad. Alone without my brother and sister, I would sort of have the run of the house. That suited me fine. My brother and sister would have their own benefits going to their grannies. Stuff like Granny's famous baking. She had some of the tastiest cakes. They also had the privilege of playing on the massive climbing frames. They were that big they were even suitable for adults to enjoy, and not to mention Granny lived out of town next to the local swimming pool. But all the benefits of Granny's didn't bother me. Well, maybe the swimming part, but nonetheless I had the whole house to myself. With my mom and dad obviously, but they just let me do what I wanted within reason. So with my brother and sister out the way, I had my bedroom to myself. My sister had her own room anyway. But I shared a room with my older brother. When he wasn't there, I would push mine and his bed together and make like a triple king-sized bed. It was heaven for a kid. Well, it was for me. So evening was nearly gone and it was a little past tea time. My mom and dad asked me what takeaway I would like to order. So I of course chose my favorite. A barbecue-based chicken and sweet corn pizza with garlic dip from Domino's. My mom told me that once the pizza arrived she would bring it up to me, if I wanted. Yes please Mom, I said. So with our pizzas ordered, I went upstairs in my bedroom. I opened my window as far as I could until the latch stopped the window. I turned my Xbox One on using my controller and laid on top of my bed. Now playing GTA Online, I played a few missions, desperately trying to earn some money so I could buy a new car. It wasn't long before there was a knock at the door and my mom was bringing me up my pizza. I thanked my mom for the pizza and shouted down to my dad to say thank you. So 20 missions later I had almost demolished most of my pizza. I would always save 2 pieces to eat in the morning. I just liked the taste of takeaway pizza in the morning. Anyway, it was now about 12 o'clock Friday night and my mom and dad were already making their way upstairs. They would always go to the toilet and I would go into their room and talk to them both while they laid in bed. They have had the same broken door in their bedroom for as long as I can remember. My dad would prop it up every night with a chair. Once he propped it up, you couldn't see in their bedroom. So after talking to them for about half an hour, I said goodnight to them both and went back to my room. After playing games all night, I decided to watch a movie on a site called 123 Movies. I started watching a comedy film starring Adam Sandler called Happy Gilmore. I was halfway through the movie when the movie began to buffer. Annoyed, I tried refreshing the page, skipping it to where I had gotten to. But I was having no luck. So I decided to pause the movie and leave it so the white buffering bar could get ahead of the movie a bit. I then pressed the Xbox button, bringing up the guide menu alongside the time. The time read 10 past 2 in the morning. I noticed the little pink notification showing I had received a message. I quickly clicked on the message. It was from my dad. See, it wasn't unusual for my dad to message me and ask me if I was still awake. Mom was always fast asleep. Dad would often make me a nighttime cup of tea with a bowl of cereal. Sometimes we would even drink our tea at the front gate together. So anyway, I sent my dad a message back saying that I was still awake. While I waited for my dad to respond, I turned the movie off that was still buffering, and thought I would play a bit more GTA Online. Half an hour later I checked my messages again, only to find my dad had messaged me back. "Hey Scott, come downstairs." I messaged him saying okay, I'm coming. On the way downstairs I noticed my dad had propped his door back up. Not knowing if he had gone back to bed or not, I whispered outside his door, "Dad? Are you in there?" But there was no answer. So I went downstairs to check if there was a cup of tea on the kitchen side. He would always leave it near the microwave for me. At the bottom of the stairs I noticed the front door was slightly open. I then walked into the kitchen. The light was off. I turned the lights on and saw that my dad had made me a cup of tea. I grabbed the cup and it was cold. I didn't mind drinking it still. So I headed outside with my drink. I thought to myself my dad must be outside because the front door was open, so I made my way outside. Once outside, I saw my dad stood near the front gate. He was just staring at the road, so I walked up to him. "Dad, I saw your text." But he didn't seem to even acknowledge me, he just stared at the road. He didn't even blink once and his face was extremely pale. "Dad? What's up?" He didn't answer me again. He just stared at the road. He looked like he was sleepwalking. All of a sudden my dad spoke to me. With only a few words he said, "Go inside." I didn't question him, I just thanked him for the drink. I walked to the front door and took one last look at my dad. It was so weird, he didn't seem to move once. But by this time I was really tired and didn't think much to it. So I finished my cold tea off and made my way to my room. Remembering the trouble I had earlier with 1-2-3 movies, I put Netflix on instead and put on a movie to fall asleep to. I thought I would see if my dad was still outside. So I looked out my window. I caught him as he was walking off. I thought to myself, where could my dad be going this late? I brought up the guide menu on my Xbox to check the time. "That's really weird," I said to myself. I had gotten another message. I quickly opened it. It was a message from my dad. The text read, "Sorry Scott, I know I messaged you telling you to come downstairs. But I fell asleep instead. I promise I will come out tomorrow night and make you a cup of tea. See you in the morning, love, Dad." I was freaking out. I ran to my dad's bedroom door and put my ear to it. I listened for about 5 minutes. When I clearly heard my mom and my dad. They were both snoring. I couldn't believe it. It sent chills down my spine. My dad couldn't have been sleepwalking because he didn't even come back up the stairs. I went back into my bedroom. I looked out of my bedroom window again, but there was no one there. I tried to go to sleep but I couldn't, I was terrified. I just laid on my bed staring at my bedroom door, hoping I didn't hear anyone come up the stairs. Morning came and I was still awake. I didn't even go to sleep. Finally I heard my dad moving his door to the side, so he could go to the toilet. I thought I would let him go to the toilet first before I spoke to him. After he was done I whispered to my dad to come to me. "Oh, good morning, Scott," he said. I asked my dad, "Dad, was you outside with me last night?" "No, Scott. You must have been dreaming. I messaged you telling you to come downstairs. But then I fell asleep." "I'm sorry, Scott." I looked at my dad for a second. Nodding my head I agreed with him. And told him that he was right and it was probably a dream. He then smiled at me and went back to his room. I didn't tell my dad all that had happened because he would have just told me I was dreaming again anyway. But I know what I saw. I don't know if I should meet my dad downstairs at night anymore. And if my dad sent me a text message and then fell asleep, how did whatever was pretending to be my dad know to make me a drink? Even though it was cold. Who knows what it wants, but I do know this. Next time I get a text from my dad at night, I'm ignoring it.